Well, Katie, it's obviously stunning on a personal level. I feel for his family in particular, but I thought that he coming this close to being governor of California was stunning in itself. I mean, Eric Swalwell was no one's idea of a heavyweight or intellect or visionary. What he was a competent partisan messenger on cable news, and the fact that that almost made him governor of our most populous state just blew me away.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about the fact that Eric Swalwell was protected by the Democratic Party, that this was an open secret in Washington, as you say, that he was a lightweight. Is it fair to say that the Democratic Party, including Nancy Pelosi, who was the Speaker of the House, who protected him when there were allegations of an affair with a spy, that they protected him because he was able to go out and be an attack dog for the Democratic Party when they needed him, and now all of a sudden that he's not going to help them in terms of winning the governor's race, that it was time to throw him under the bus?
Well, Katie, it's certainly hard to ignore how quickly all of the Democrats who endorsed Eric turned on him. But I do think that there is like a clubby, insular dynamic, not just to the Democratic Party, but also the Republican Party, where if you hear negative things about someone, they can be dismissed as political attacks. In this case, these were not political attacks. I mean, these were women who'd had absolutely terrible experiences. But I think this is a symptom not just of the Democratic Party, but of each party.
Now that Swalwell is out of the race, speaking of people in power and people up the upper echelons of our society, billionaire Tom Steyer is now the new favorite to be California's next governor. You coincidentally also ran against him in 2020, even praised him on the debate stage. Let's take a listen.
I just want to stick up for Tom. We have a broken campaign finance system, but Tom's been spending his own money fighting climate change. And you can't knock someone for having money and spending it in the right way, in my opinion. Thanks, Andrew. No problem.
Do you still feel that way about Tom Steyer, and would you support him for governor at this point?
Tom and I are friendly, and we actually went to the same high school, little known fact. You can look that one up. But my favorite in this gubernatorial race is Matt Mahan, who's the mayor of San Jose. He's been extraordinarily productive, cleaning up the streets, focusing government on delivering for people, cutting waste and fraud. I think that's the kind of approach that would resonate with many Californians. And I think Matt is going to benefit greatly from Eric Swalwell's being out of the race.
In terms of that platform, cleaning up the streets, being tough on crime, Tom Steyer has been actively campaigning on an abolish ICE platform, and just yesterday put out a plan on how California can actually put ICE agents and their leadership in jail. Is this the kind of rhetoric that Democrats feel like they have to espouse, or plans they have to put out to win an election as a Democrat in this time in our politics?
Well, that kind of rhetoric definitely works on a significant proportion of the Democratic base. And one of the reasons why I think Matt's approach and Tom's approach seem very different rhetorically is that Matt's actually running a city. And as soon as you're running a city, then you have to make real decisions that have impacts that affect your constituents every single day. So I do think it's going to work on a significant number of California Democratic voters, which is, again, one reason why Eric Swalwell was the front runner for quite some time.
Yeah, right. He espoused those views as well and wanted to do a lot of that in Congress. But now he's gone. Let's switch topics here. I know that the issue of AI is really important to you. We're obviously seeing AI grow at a very fast rate in our lives, almost alarmingly in some aspects because we don't understand it, but it's doing a lot of good as well. What do you think the Trump administration should be doing to protect the job market from AI?
This is near and dear to my heart, Katie. This is the topic I campaigned on in 2020 because I believed that AI was going to automate away millions of American jobs, and I still believe that to be true. It's happening before our eyes. Recent college graduates aren't able to find jobs. I think that Donald Trump should stop cozying up to the AI industry and do three things. Number one, tax AI. Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, said tax us. We should take him up on it. We're talking about near $1 trillion or soon-to-be $1 trillion companies. They should be paying more in taxes. Number two, where is the regulation? Jeff Bezos compared AI to the new electricity. The power grid is regulated. You would never have an unregulated power grid. That'd be nonsense. So you need an AI regulator that actually has different interests than the industries. And number three, people should be able to sign off on whether there's a data center built in their community. And if there is a data center built, they should be compensated because these structures end up siphoning off the power grid and in some cases the water supply.
Andrew Yang, thank you for joining us. Great to see you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.